picture taken today at Costco because I lost my card again. All right, maybe you can hear me if I do this. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Celestic Intelligence Podcast. I am your host, Amelie, and I am the founder of Celestic Intelligence. And I come on and I do a weekly podcast and I kind of talk about a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So, welcome first and foremost. Sorry I'm late today. I had a bunch of errands to run this week and yesterday, and it was just taking a lot longer than I had anticipated. And so I was like, I don't have anything else going on tomorrow. I'll just go do it tomorrow. So here we are today. Mike is here. Mike, you changed your name. That's okay. Mike is my number one fan. Always dutifully here. It's wonderful. So we got a wrench. Okay, make sure I don't look too crazy, even though it is Halloween week. We're doing some spooky stuff today. We're going to be talking about thin veils and what that means and, some of the historics around Halloween and why this time of year is part of that. So I got some really, if it's nice again tomorrow and I'm not like in a rush, when I'm heading home, I'll take my time to, take some images. But I had to go run to the grocery before I came home, and then I made dinner, and so it was a whole thing. But I caught some really awesome images today. I work on a university, and the university has all of these huge, beautiful oak trees and maple trees, but there's tons of oak trees out here. And this is the time of year that they start going from green to yellow to red and then brown, and then they fall. And it was really nice and sunny today. And so I got this nice, probably like 20-second video of the leaves just like slowly falling out of this tree, like in a movie. I was like, oh my gosh, am I on candid camera? Do you remember that, Mike? Candid camera. So this time of year just marks this really interesting switch from being alive and everything is fruiting and all the things are growing to now everything is dying back. Everything is casting forth its seed. There's that scorpionic energy is really embodied in this time period right now. Wait, let me look up Granger Sheets. Hello, Tommy Melendez. Welcome back. We had a nice chat last week. So, a lot of people just look at it as Halloween and they're like the horror and suspense and, the spookiness of it. But there's a lot more that goes into this time of year. And it's kind of interesting on how we, as a society, view this time of year. Like a lot of people are just like, give the candy and get the outfits and, all that kind of stuff. But the real interesting thing about this time of year is one, the harvest is ending and the harvest of everything. So by I think November 2nd, most of the farms are going to be shut down and they won't reopen until around April next year. And that'll just kind of be these beginning things. So there's like this really beautiful cycle. And right now, it's just the wind down of that cycle. And when we look at time and we look at events, we can see how these things will eventually die down and then something new is born in it. So it's never really the end of the world. I mean, there's an end of things, but there's not the end of the world. It's the end of the world as you know it. I mean, that song was pretty based. Let me get some of these. So tell us. Simple Dave, please help. I got hired by a company as an IT technician, but they put me to work on a manual potato sorting conveyor. I've been sorting spuds for 3 weeks now. Please advise. I don't know what to do. Are you in a spot where they don't have labor? Other jobs? Julius Teta Tulasi. I don't know if that's how you say it. I am doing well. Hello, how are you? Please hit the like button for this young lady. Well, I had a birthday on Friday. I don't know how young I am anymore, but feeling it, feeling it. Okay, so let's talk Halloween. So Halloween is an interesting time. A lot of people talk about Halloween, but they don't necessarily talk about All Saints Day, which comes right after. This time of year is when everything is starting to die back. The plants have cast forth their seeds and they've gone dormant, in the hopes that there will be life again next year, March, April, in my neck of the woods. Everybody's zones are different, so check those things out. So this is very much a liminal time. And liminal being that you have this, we've been in our temporal and now we're entering into this darkness, this spiritual, this unknown area. So what this time of year marks is something that called a Celtic New Year. They called it Samhain. It's Samhain. And this time of year was never really truly seen as something to be feared, even though there is kind of an art to that. Princess Piper, hi. So, Samhain is basically this crossroads, okay? It's that liminal space between life and death. And I've talked a lot about this year. This is a huge theme for me this year. And I don't think that it's just me. I think that there's a lot of people that are feeling this kind of walk into winter, so to speak, in their lives. And I don't know if it's, a huge celestic influence where, certain planets are moving. Some of the slower ones are kind of moving into these newer spaces, but we can kind of feel it. I mean, earlier this year, I think it was in September, everyone was getting all hyped about this end times guy. And you know, just in my life, there's been pretty significant losses that I've had to experience. Kindred Angel, what's going on, lady? Beautiful lady. So, there's an interesting thing going on because not just physically can we see this change, but almost like emotionally and spiritually, we feel this shift going on right now. And if I was kind of analyzing the past few years, I've kind of felt it coming closer and closer to this, this transition. In fact, I think it like really 2021, it was kind of the beginning of this shift that I was experiencing. And I don't think a lot of people remember it, but at the time there was something called, it was on the 21st of December, I think it was 2020, and it was called the Great Conjunction. And they're like, this Great Conjunction has not happened since Jesus Christ was born. And they're like, it's going to be a huge shift. And I bet when Jesus was born, every like business went on as usual. I mean, they still had corruption, they still had all their stuff. But I don't think that, it was like, oh, this kind of everybody feels different and now, things are different. It wasn't like that. Not much. Hope you're doing well. I am doing well. I'm doing very well. So, this year really kind of marks a lot of these things especially with the end times stuff, and then with some of the things going on in the news, like culturally, the things that are going on in the news. It's really interesting. Like, I used to be really, really into it, and now I've really taken a step back from being super integrated into what are the results. I know that right now there's a lot of people that are worried about their food benefits from the government. And, as much as, if I was in that situation, and I have been, and I know it very much viscerally. I think that there is also a lesson here of how how are we consenting? How are we, managing our government? How are we, like, we the people in America are the government, and we're, consenting to letting these things happen. All right, let's move back into this. So during Samhain, all right, there's the life and death, the light and dark, the human and the spirit. Like, you've got these two different worlds kind of merging together in this final harvest period. So the final harvest is brought in, and then the old year is considered dead, and then that's when the Celtic New Year begins, and now they're going into a new year. So fire rituals were done, and it helped to keep the darkness from encroaching. So they had all these fires out. And then during this time of year, the people in these villages would leave food out for their ancestors because they felt that their ancestors would come and visit them. In fact, I had a friend reach out to me a couple days ago, and he was like, it's really hard for me this time of year because you know, I can feel my family come and visit me. And there's another time of year, it's sometime in spring, where the veil is also very thin as well. I'll see if I can find somebody made this really cool, it had to do with the time, and it was a pentagon. And this is one of the points of the pentagon. And then sometime in spring, there was another one where the veils are very thin. So like Halloween, and I want to say it's like sometime in the end of April. So people left food and offerings out for their ancestors, milk, honey, bread, whatever they had, just to remember their ancestors. So it's a time that we sit and we reflect and remember our ancestors. Okay. So the veil is thin because nature itself is transitioning. So we can see it with the trees. They're changing colors. The leaves are falling. They're going dormant. We had a long summer, and I don't know if we've had more acorns than normal, but there was just tons of acorns everywhere. I can see all the squirrels. I even saw a gray squirrel, which is unusual. I don't see very many of those. I see the brown ones all the time. But the sap is going back into the earth is cooling down, and our human psyche is in tune with the land that's around us. Okay, we entrain not just to one another, but we entrain to our environment, and our environment is it's very important for us to kind of be real with where we are in our environment. In fact, ever since I started my new job, I've been biking to work every day. And I absolutely love it so much because in the morning, it's almost like doing a cold plunge. It's like 40 degrees out. I don't really wear jackets very often. And so it's like a cold plunge for me to go to work. But like the things that I'm saying, I'm like embodying the environment that I'm in. I'm taking it all in and it's like imprinting on me and it feels really great. Feels really nice. Okay, so our human psyche starts to it like in the summertime you might be bright and bubbly and then in the wintertime you might be like kind of I don't want to leave the house because we are tuned into the land around us. So kind of consider that. People like when I traveled the country, the different regions had different personalities based on where they were from, based on where they were living. So people down in the South had a certain demeanor. People that were in the Northeast had a certain demeanor. People in the Midwest, people in Texas, people in the desert, the high desert of like Albuquerque and Utah, they had these different personalities. And then in the Pacific Northwest, it's the same thing. You have these different your the land that you're around really imprints on who you are, just in a psyche sense. You sync with the land that you're around, and then it starts to turn inward. All that information you start to turn inward. Especially during this time of year when everything is going dormant, everything is dying away, and some of us like to hibernate. That's just our jam. So when our intuitive channels start to open a lot easier when you are in these liminal spaces, your dreams might become even more potent. Time feels a lot less linear. It's very much cyclical. You might be a little bit more tuned into that. And then, this time of year, there is both an ending that's going on, but also a portal that is open that feels a little bit easier to come back and forth through. It's definitely a time of reflection, of divination, of releasing, and of communion, of getting together with the people around you and connecting on a deeper level. Okay. So I think a lot of what's really going on in our culture right now is just a reminder that we need to get together and reconnect again. In fact, I'm calling 2026 the year of connection. Okay. I'm calling it right now. That's what I'm naming it. So this year was it was very difficult, the year of refinement. But next year, it's going to be the year of connection, meaning that connection is going to be the most important thing for me to tune into. And when I name it like that, when I name my year like that, like it's going to be a year of refinement. Well, it's been very refining, it very much painful, because the act of refinement is literally heating it to its, the hottest you can heat it. Kindred angel gets it. But yeah, like for me, like the year of refinement has been very hard, like very difficult. I've had to let go of so much, including my parts of my ego that were just not easy to release. Okay. So when I look at how am I going to name my next year, I think about, okay, what is it that I need? And what I need is more connection. More connection, like in person connection with people, if I'm going to be very specific. And that's it. That's it. That's what I'm naming the year. And I think as things start to get very unstable culturally, where you don't know if the macro is going to be stabilized, having the connection of even 10, knowing 10 people in 10 miles of you, and connecting with them is going to provide you a little security. You're not necessarily relying on your family, because that was my like, that was my bug out plan is I'll just go stay with my mom. My mom hunts and fishes and does all this stuff. Well, a couple years ago, my mom died. My bug out plan is vamos, like it's gone. It got burnt up. So when I say connection, it's going to be beyond your family. It's going to be your friends. Like, who can I count on? What can they count on me for? What am I bringing? What have I learned? And I spent a lot of time training myself on how to, preserve food. I did a lot of canning, pressure canning, freezing. I, trialed and errored when it didn't hurt. Okay. Trial and error when it did not hurt, so that in the moments of time that it was difficult to get food, when it is, when you'll need that larder and you'll need the stocked pantry of things, that you know what to do with it. All right. All right, so we talked about the Celtic New Year, and we talked about a little bit about Halloween, that October 31st. It's just that time of year. It doesn't necessarily have to be on 10/21. It's just around that time of year. That's when the veil becomes really thin. So All Saints Day comes on right after that. And then you have Dias de los Muertos, and a lot of different cultures celebrating their ancestors at this time of year. Okay, so Samhain literally translates into summer's end. It's what it means. It means it's an end of an agricultural cycle. We're thinking harvest festivals and bonfires, and some people even have feasts at this time. So I think it's at the beginning of October that the Canadians celebrate Thanksgiving, but like Thanksgiving's coming up, so that's another feast that, all the family just gathers around and, has celebrates by having food and being around their family. I don't necessarily do that anymore. We'll see how this year goes. But normally, what I do is I host a tamale making party because my family loves tamales, my brother particularly. And so, what I do is I just get everything all set up. I invite people over, and if they come over and make tamales great, I invite friends, just anybody who's interested. And so, this will be, I don't know how many years I've been doing this, but I started inviting friends over a couple years ago. So it's been a kind of an interesting thing. But usually it's like the turkey I would make for Thanksgiving, I use that turkey to put into tamales, and have a whole spread of things. And it's just kind of make your own. And I have, my little steamer set up outside so it can make the outside nice and steamy. But that's what I'm saying is like you have these feasts where you get together. All right. Kindred Angel said exactly. You need to have good relationships and people who support you. We all need some kind of connection and healthy relationships for sure. Absolutely. Yes, we had our Thanksgiving already in Canada. Yeah, I want to say it's at the beginning of October. All right. So the other thing that we can talk about is the contrast between Samhain and the Christianized All Hallows Eve, and All Saints Day. So All Saints Day is celebrated by some religious sects. That's fine. But I think the main point is at some point we all understand that there is this transition that is happening from summer into winter, And this is the time of year where it's just like kind of glaring. All right. So the transition, that liminal thinness between worlds isn't necessarily like superstitious. This is a seasonal sensitivity, and maybe in the equatorial parts of the world, they might feel a little less. But nonetheless, they can still see a little bit of the changes. Like my friend was telling me in Hawaii, even though it's very temperate, meaning that it doesn't shift too much in degrees from, I think it's like maybe the 60s it gets in, but mostly it's like 70s to mid 80s. And it just kind of fluctuates between there, but maybe a little bit, a little bit more chaotic at the end of the year during the winter solstice time. Del Roofer is in the house. Hello. Henry, welcome. Don't forget to like and subscribe. All right. So, the psychological and energetic thinning, the shorter daylight time, the melatonin, ugh, the melatonin changes, and the collective ritual memory are all kind of merging together. There's like little separation in between these two. When you experience this liminal space, and I've talked about this in previous podcasts this year, when you experience this liminal space, all right, your intuition is a lot is higher. So, I often talk about how women, especially relaxed women, when your nervous system is relaxed, you're very sensitive to the things around you. You can see unseen things. And a lot of people want to dismiss that as if it's all in her head, or maybe it's all in his head. I don't know. But the sensitivity is heightened during this time of year. Okay. And it's all part of this seasonal change. The sensitivity is just high. I often tell people, like, I'm very sensitive. And it's not sensitive as in my feelings are going to get hurt. I'm sensitive as in I can sense your behavior. I can sense your attitude. I can sense like a lot of things that you can't, that you don't think anybody else can see. Like I can see some of those things. So, kind of approach with caution. But the intuition, the dreams, and then just the psychic abilities of being really and I think that's why Scorpio gets a bad rap, is because they have this natural connection to this time of year, to these things, to this liminal time. All right. So right now we're kind of in this space of where, if winter is this spiritual world and summer is its temporal twin, we're kind of in the middle of that, blurring the boundaries. Okay. Majid, what's going on? Do you have a favorite sign that attracts you? Are you talking like astrological signs? Duh, Roofer's in the house. I don't know if Duh Roofer's still here. Yeah, same. What's your zodiac sign? I'm a Scorpio. Winter is December 21. That's so far away. It's so far away until it gets here, like immediately. And you never even realize, like, oh my gosh, that happened. Sabo Sad. Hello. Dang it, I'm an Aries. Aries crush. Sagittarius Club. Yeah, you're Sagittarius. I have a little bit of everybody. Um, I think mine is interesting because I am a Scorpio sun and then a Taurus rising, and they're both like opposite. So it's like a sister sign. They're opposite on the wheel. And so while I might have a little bit of this scorpionic whatever, I also have these Taurian traits, which is like I like really nice things. I like delicious food. I like going and having a lot of fun. I don't even know if I should tell this story because it's kind of embarrassing. I have a foodies chat at work, and I told them, and I was like, God, that's the second time that I've just been like, I start the whole comment as in, I probably shouldn't say this, but my my Taurus my Taurus rising is betraying me. You're so pretty yet so boring. Oh, I'm so sorry, DeRoofer. I mean, there's other pretty girls you can watch that are probably not boring. Um, I went and had Indian food. This is the story. I went and had Indian food on Sunday, and it was a buffet. And I was like, okay. So I'm like sampling all the things, obviously, because I have to try all the flavors, which I love korma. There was a veggie korma, which was to die for. But I get to dessert, and so the dessert is something called, and forgive me if I don't say it right, but rasmalai, Rasmalai, rasmalai. So I take a bite. I have no idea what it is. I don't know what it's supposed to taste like. This is the first time I've ever had it. And I take a bite and I'm like, that's really weird. It tastes like sugar ants when you squish them, like exactly like that. And I was like, wait, what? So my brain is just popping. Like, what the heck is making it flavor that? Like, what is it? How is it flavoring this way? It takes very long to land the plane. I'm very sorry. Yes, you are very boring. Ask your coworkers. Da Roofer. Do you really roof for a living? Is that why your name is Da Roofer? Anyway, so I take a bite and I'm like, gosh, it tastes like a squished sugar ant. And it's like these little, it kind of looks like Baby Bell cheese, like these little cheese wheels. And yeah, remember, I have no idea what the heck this thing is. Never had it before. Don't know what it's supposed to taste like. I'm like, it's so bizarre. And I keep on eating it. Like, okay, I keep eating it, trying to figure out why does it taste like a sugar squished sugar ant? Okay. Sugar ants taste like grape nuts, crunchy and honey flavored. They don't though. It's okay. So what the end of the story? And the end of the story is so I eat all of it except for the cheese bits. It was just a little tiny portion, maybe like that big. So I eat it, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what the heck just happened. I thought it was like cardamom or something. She's wicked to start. Ask me. Yes, I'm a roofer. Ask me any roofing question. How many mosaic roofs have you put together? And so, anyways, I finish eating it, and I'm like, dude, that was weird. And so all like for 4 hours, I'm just obsessed with what the heck. So I get online and I'm like, hey Google, why did the rasmale taste like a squished sugar ant? I have no idea what's going on. Turns out it's because of formic acid. So when you squish a sugar ant, it releases formic acid, so it creates that smell. Well, if milk products like that, because it's basically cheese and curds and whey, right? Cottage cheese, some sort of like cottage cheese like dessert. And so it could have been from spoiled milk. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could get food poisoning because that's what it was saying. And I was like, ah. So I called the restaurant and I was like, look, I had the dessert. It tasted like sugar ants. I think it might have formic acid or be spoiled. Probably don't want to feed it to people, so whatever. And then I was like, okay, how long does food poisoning take to kick in? It's a whole, we're on an adventure. So it's like the internet said 1 to 3 days, and I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll see if I get food poisoning or if, and have to pay for my own curiosity. 3, I think mosaic roofs are cool. Crystal, Minnesota, Maple, Grove, Minnesota, Knoxville, and Iowa. Dang. Nice. Hard work. I roofed for 14 years. Tommy's. I do all roofs. That's awesome. All right. Well, let's move on to the ancestral connection of this time of year after my embarrassing story. My other embarrassing story was a few years ago when I was doing live streams. It was during quarantine. I was in this chat and they were posting old, like 70s, 60s, 70s. I can't remember the name of what they call it, but it's like jello mold food and just weird stuff. And they posted one of banana ham, and I was like, ew, that's disgusting. But then my curiosity got me, and then I ended up making banana ham on YouTube and I ate it, the whole thing. And after I was done, I was like, if I went to a potluck and banana ham was there, I'd totally serve myself a helping. Would I make it again? Probably not. It wasn't bad though. Anyways, let's you guys get to know a little bit more about me and my weirdness. I blame my Taurus side. So, at this time of year, what I'm going to encourage people to do is to really remember your ancestors, whether it's, immediate family that have gone or maybe even further down, like just honor them within yourself. Like this is the time of year to do that. You can do offerings like the Celtics did, maybe even light a candle. If you're Catholic, go light a candle there. Maybe write a letter, just something that is going to help you show them that you remember them. Because really, what's happening is like within yourself, you're reconnecting with that. There is a difference between ancestral worship and ancestral remembrance. And here we're just remembering our ancestors. And, I've been working on that this year. It was kind of an eye-opening thing. I started thinking about how much DNA do I have? How much connection do I have to the people that have like provided the DNA in my own self? And what kind of and this is because of, family deaths that this kind of just flares up and I am like, you have to deal with it. Otherwise, you're going to go crazy. But I realized, how much codependency was in my family and how much I needed to address it as much as possible within myself. And it's come at it's a great price for me to have to move through that. But at the same time, because I've gone through this energy of like going through the death of my father and clearing it out, it took over a decade, probably 2 decades. But then with my mother, it's the same thing where I was able to process through that and still come, show up every day. Even though, like, in other areas of my life, it's a lot harder than for me to come on and talk to you guys. Some roofs are so steep that they look like a wall, but it's still a roof and needs to be fixed. Yeah, those are crazy. Remember your family for sure. Sorry about dad. Yeah, well, I kind of got into an argument with somebody about whether or not we choose these lifetimes that we're on, right? Whether or not we're choosing these lifetimes. Like, are we are we just here and there's no rhyme or reason to it? Or is there a rhyme or reason and we knew before we came that we would kind of get this, like, we wouldn't we wouldn't necessarily remember immediately. Like, but if you tune in enough, you could remember. I think we have soul contracts, but that's ancestral connection. We want to, really truly embrace our emotional side when we start to remember these ancestors, whether it's your parents, whether it's a sibling, whether it is, an aunt or uncle or grandparents or even beyond that. Whoever it is that we're remembering, we just wanted to remember that they were here. At the end of funerals, it's like, we'll never forget you. We don't ever want to forget you. Long live their memory, in living memory. Like, at the end of funerals, we do this, but there's not really a time of year that we're setting that aside and saying, okay, like, I'm honoring and remembering this family member, what they did to bring me to where I am today. I won't do that DNA stuff. Yeah, I'm not talking about going and 23 and meing. What I'm talking about is, like, within yourself, you have your own DNA where, like, you're connected to it. And I think this time of year I think it's really just there's something about it that kind of blossoms it out. I actually disagree with the funeral stuff. What do you mean? Oh, I'm very curious about what you say. So really, like, remembering your ancestors, processing any grief, and remembering their legacy. I stopped going. Oh, going to funerals? Say it. I did say it. And then also forgiveness. So forgiveness, whether it's you didn't get to say goodbye, and forgiving that part of yourself for not being there for them or being with them. I mean, my father died when I was 25 and I'm 42 now. So it was really difficult for me to go through, but eventually, and even now, I still have to process through some of it, and forgive myself for holding on to different aspects of the relationship that we didn't have. People without children have no say about honor to your fallen. Life continues with children. It does. It does. I'm so grateful I had children when I did because I couldn't imagine, like, I actually, if I was going to redo it, I would have more children. I probably would have had like 8 children and been like, let's keep pumping them out. Like, let's go. I would be the mom with 8 children. I'd be Octo Mom. I totally would. I probably would have been able to handle it too. It would have been great. Okay, so we're thinking about the emotional side of this. There's, the grief, the legacy, the forgiveness, and as we're like continuing in that connection, we just want to continue to remember those ancestors, and it could, go beyond. Like, I'm a fifth generation William Clark from Lewis and Clark, and all of those family members, like, it's kind of interesting to know like where you came from. And my mom went back all the way to the mid 1400s on her side, and it's like she's like, "Oh, you're related to the queen," and I'm like, I have no idea how that works, but uh, allegedly. So really, as we move into this time of year, we're looking at introspection, just introspection of ourselves, of where has this year taken me and where am I going next year. A big part of my year has been refinement, and then as I look forward at 2026, it's going to be really just changing that from, okay, I'm done being refined. I've like gone down to the bare bones of who I am. Now it's going to be reconnecting, maybe even reconnecting with a new version of myself as I'm transitioning from being a mom with a dependent child to a mom with an independent child, as my youngest has moved into the teen years. So I'm a little lost on what you're expressing. About what? Do you talk like this all the time? DeRoofer, you don't have to be here. And yeah, I do talk like this all the time. Are looking for family that you don't know about. Oh, no. No, like next year, like, so this year, 2025, I had named the year of refinement, meaning I was going to get really clear about who I am. But the family that I'm talking about one, remembering them. So remembering your ancestors and just giving them honor, because this is that time of year that we do that naturally, because the veil is thin between this world and the next. And then in 2025, as I'm looking, beyond winter, like, how am I going to show up? What seeds am I planting now? How am I readying the earth now to plant the seeds for next year, which is going to be a year of connection? All right. So I talked a lot this year about shadow work, and it was really just this really long preparation for everybody to, really look at how am I going to do that shadow work. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just trying to understand. Oh, I'm totally understand. You're very beautiful and amazing. I mean, gorgeous, called and said, jealous of your beauty. Oh, you're so sweet, the roofer. But also, I don't think I'm boring, but that's fine. All right. I talked a lot about shadow work this year. In fact, I think it was episode 9 that I did this year called Shadow Worth is a really good it's a really good guide to help you understand how to do shadow work and to do it healthily so that you're not. Because I think what happens is people will start to kind of tread in their own inner life, in their own inner world. And sometimes when you stare into the abyss and it stares back, you can freeze and it can drown you. Because I think that any emotional work that you're doing is you're swimming, okay? You're suspended in some, like, I always imagine emotions being very watery, and you can easily drown. So having somebody that can pull you back to catch your breath or whatever you've got to do is valuable. So if you are wanting to do deeper inner self work and look at these shadowy parts, the shadowy natures, and it's not shunning or saying that those shadow parts of you are bad because they're not. I fully believe like any survival mechanism that we've used and got used to using is there for good. It's just when it starts to get leaned on chronically where you're not doing a healthier expression of that, that you can start to sink, and then like kind of disconnect and disassociate from yourself. So we're wanting to reassociate with ourselves and to really reconnect with who we are. And that's like if you're here and you're watching my channel and my podcast, you care about these things. And this is a direction that you want to go. That's why you're listening. That's why you're here. I think. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong in the chat. I'm on here a lot. She knows I'm a friend. Yeah. To hit on you. Oh. Thinking about bad things is okay, but spending time on the thoughts bring you down and ends badly. Not necessarily. I've had some pretty gnarly emotions that I've had to stare at in the face and say, is this truly me? Or is it something that happened in my younger years that I never addressed? I just kind of like, this is just painting over it. And now I'm using coping mechanisms instead of actually truly addressing the problem. Okay. So I think that was, I want to say it was episode 9, but I could be wrong. Okay. So this is a time of introspection. This is a time when there's a death of the old self. So that dying part of you of it really is an honoring of your own self. Like, okay, I've made it this far and now I'm ready to like lay this part of my ego down, and it can be it can be something that gives life into my next phase. Scorpio is all about transformation, okay? There's not just the psychic level, but there's also this beautiful transformation energy that sits in this sign. And it's very dear to the people that have it, and it's not anybody that's just born at this time of year. Anybody who has these placements can feel that, that energy, it's very close to Capricorn energy too. I feel like Capricorn has like this, also this dark, this dark energy, just having this Saturnian, influence for them. My Capricorn friend is very much, transformational. She's amazing. We've been friends for a long time and I absolutely love her. And it also gives me like a really deeper, gives me a deeper view of like how that energy plays out. Capricorns be funny. I love them. Okay, so now that we're looking at this time of year of harvesting, what during this year have I learned about myself that I can harvest, and then I've got to, mulch the rest. I've got to mulch the rest because it's going to be fuel for the seeds that I plant for next year. All right. Remember, you don't have to choose year of connection, but I really highly recommend that you choose a theme for your years because it does. I forgot I even said year of refinement, and I went through hell. And then it wasn't until a couple months ago that I was like, oh my gosh, you totally said year of refinement. And in that refinement, like everything that was put up as of this facade burnt down, like literally burnt down. If I told you all the things that happened to me this year, it'd be crazy. I will leave now. Huh. Okay. I have 2 to 3 children. My oldest passed from Fen. I'm so sorry, DeRoofer. That I'm very sorry. I actually use my New Year. I use my birthday kind of as this New Year resolution type thing. I don't call it a New Year resolution, but I just name it with a theme. And I usually think about it from probably about end of September until December of like, okay, what word would really be good? And connection came up and it's came up very strong for me and it doesn't necessarily need to be yours, but I challenge you to try it this year and see like, what do you think you need? What is what is speaking to you? Like what word speaks to you? Some people call 2025 the year of service, meaning that they were going to go out and serve people in the best way that they could. I'm trying to think of the other, not very good, obviously, at remembering of the other names of the years. Um, but yeah, I think that when you do name it, you're using your word, you're using the word to create something. So, yeah, that's actually great. I was referring to the thing you said about choosing a theme. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea. And if it doesn't work, then, what are you out? Nothing. Okay, so we talked about shadowy stuff. I want to hop off here soon. I'm pretty tired. It's 7:13. Not old. I just wake up really early in the morning. Meaning on the new year. Yeah, I've been doing I don't even like to call them resolutions, but I set goals on my birthday and then just kind of, feel through it. Sometimes it's not until December that I'm like, okay, now it's the time. But most of the time I've been doing it probably since I was in my mid 20s of just choosing certain goals The naming of the year started a couple years ago. Meaning the year. Okay, thank you for your input. I know. Mike is my mod. He's my first mod. Okay, so let's move into modern reclamation. So modern witches, whatever that is, like sometimes I think about what were witches, what were mystics, what were those people back in the day. Were they really witches or were they just super connected to the earth and that terrified the power structure? Um, but we want to maybe look at what were they talking about? What were they hearing? Because, like I said, if I was driving my car to work every day, I would be missing out on the messages of the earth right now. So in the morning, I wouldn't connect with the moon. I wouldn't see the fog that is lifting from the fields. I wouldn't see the river. I wouldn't see the animals that and all their little animal activities. Even this huge, chunky, fat spider that I saw today. It was freaking huge. Like his his or her little body, just the body part was bigger than a macadamia nut, you guys. It was a fat, chunky, fluffy, fuzzy guy. He was very cute. Um, but like if I wasn't out walking around and kind of tuning into the natural the natural environment around me, I wouldn't be listening to that. So back before all this technology, which is a huge distraction from what's going on, the the fact is people lived and worked and were on the land. Okay. The other part about this time and the reclamation that we're doing is that there is also this sacred feminine and the death that are a part of the divine order. Wait, you said we was done. We're almost done. I just have a I just have a couple more things to talk about and then we'll close. So I'm from Salem, Massachusetts, the witch capital of the world. I'm gonna go there one day. I want to see what it looks like. Is it cool? Do you still live there? Is it haunted over there? Yeah, that's what Mike's asking. It's busy over here, Mike. 200,000 people. But is it haunted? Yes, it is. I know this category. Spooky, scary skeletons. Yes. But the sacred feminine is the life giver, okay? The feminine is the life, like the creator, the miracle worker of bringing life into existence. The feminine is a portal, okay, of life. And as we're looking at the sacred connection of the feminine and the masculine, we're looking at a divine order. Order is a very much a balance. Did I tell you guys about the movie I watched? How much money do you want for 1 hour? Like one more hour? It's crazy. You can't drive into the city. Like, because there's so many people? Um, all right. So, I was talking, I think I was talking to, oh, it was on my birthday. I was talking with my friend Sea Level about this movie called The Substance that I watched. Traffic is like Times Square. And that's crazy. How much? How much money do you want for 1 hour? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean, Moses? 1 hour of what? But I was watching this movie called The Substance. Did I tell I don't know if you guys watched my birthday stream, but it's very much about this balance of, can you balance aging with beauty? And it was a psychological horror. I don't recommend it. Okay, I had to turn it off near the end. I think it was like 30 minutes still to go, and I was like, I can't even. I ended up trying to watch it. I just like fast forwarded. I fast forwarded like a ton of scenes just because I couldn't handle it. In fact, I could have done without probably about a good 25 minutes of that. I just wanted to see how did it end. And I guess they won a bunch of awards and everything like that for it. But so you have this balance between aging and then, you know, the beauty of your youth. And so when we look at the divine order, I often think of it like that, you know, like we're balancing summer and winter here, like in this time frame, this time period right now. So when we're looking at how can we do modern day reclamations, part of that is maybe you do have a fire ritual. I light my I had a fire the other night. I lit, you know, the fireplace. I put a fire together, and it was pretty bitey cold. Like it just had this like little sting, and I keep it cold in my house, probably about 55. But it does get to 50 every once in a while. And then it warms up during the day and it gets cold at night. And I just kind of let it go. I don't like invite it in, but I'm also not like turning my heater on. So I light a fire. Another way is digital detox. So setting time limits to your phone, maybe putting it away, and instead of at night using your phone to before you fall asleep, putting it away and then maybe spending the last hour of your day reading a book or, you know, putting on a face mask. And that's what I like to do. Clean my face up, put a face mask on, lay in my bed, and kind of enjoy that end of the day time. Feasting, connecting with your friends on a deeper level, really talking about some of the introspective things that you're going through are helpful ways to kind of move these things through you. So chances are you might be here because you want to hear a little bit more deeper conversation from people, and maybe you don't really have that in your life. This is a calling for you to start finding, you know, asking for people like that in your life, of who can I talk to, and just have these really deep conversations with, really express some of these difficult, you know, situations I might be moving through just as I'm looking back at my life. So you're naturally pretty, you have no worries. I have a small circle, friends are limited. I have a small friend circle. I know a lot of people though. Hotcakes, Tyler. I was just thinking about you. It's like, where's Hotcakes? I haven't seen her. All right. So instead of thinking of Halloween as, you know, this commercialized version of a holiday, and don't get me wrong, I still, you know, I still dress up, even if I have to go to work, I still dress up. I still, do things like that. In fact, my glasses. Thank you. I need to get new glasses, but I spent a lot of money on these. Mike's eating popcorn in the background. Of course, he's actually eating empanadas. He sent me a photo. Can I share your empanadas on screen? Is that okay? Oh, it's a video. And it's thinking. I don't know. I kind of feel like 90s Batman in these glasses. All right. Well, let me see if I can even get it up because it's. Oh, there we go. This is what Mike's. It's not popcorn, it's this. Empanadas. Oh. Empanadas and rice and beans. That looks really good. Did your mom teach you that? Those empanadas are like looking fire. Night Soul. I always enjoy your stream. See you soon. Mike, keep being the badass mod. Cool. Yeah, we're gonna pop. I'm popping off here soon. So we're looking at Halloween as this ritual of remembrance. So, really remembering the ancestors, doing the fire rituals, maybe even leaving, something out as a gift, just as a symbolic gesture. Yep. Good night, Tommy. All right. Well, I mean, that's really all I had to chat about today. Kind of went down a little bit longer than I wanted to, but yep, pulling off my Vicky Vale look, even though I don't have blonde hair. I think I should get a blonde wig. But all right. Well, I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming on and watching. You could watch anywhere else on the internet, and you decided to come here to Celestic Intelligence Podcast and watch episode number 46 as we were talking about this time of year where we're in this beautiful liminal space naturally experiencing that seasonal sensitivity of the thinness between our world and the next world. So I want you guys to be safe. I don't know if I'll come on the weekend. I have no idea what I'm doing yet. And my son is not going to be spending time with me, so I might be mermaiding out in the world. Who knows? But I appreciate you guys for being here, for coming on, for watching, for the likes. And I will see you guys next Tuesday for sure. Wait, yeah, I'll have to check and see. I might be a little bit late. I have an appointment until 5, so we'll see what happens. And I had to feed my child, otherwise he turns into an animal. Okay, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for joining. Have a wonderful, safe holiday if you guys are going out and about, and do some safe shadow work. Good night. Happy Halloween.